This is Sports Federation TV. We had an interesting segment and we chatted to badminton. We're now moving to something slightly different that I think will perk your interest very intently. We're chatting about the legal aspects of having a club or being involved in a club. And we joined in studio by someone who knows a fair amount of the background information, as well as a seasoned administrator who, just by chance, I found an article in the paper where he had a discussion with a reporter about whether you should register as a PBO, MPO, or just be a club. And we'll unpack that in a bit. Bennet Bailey, good evening and welcome.
Hi, good evening to you too.
Thanks for coming onto the show. I mean, as the Vice President of South Cape Town, you've now opened a can of worms, I think. Because in your article, you speak about clubs having to register and become an actual entity. Yes, we know that clubs are an entity by virtue of having a constitution and they're governed by the constitution. Yeah. But now you're talking about another level. Explain that to us and let's explore that a bit.
Yes, clubs need to register like any organization under the Companies Act. If you operate as an organization, you fall under the jurisdiction or the definition of a company, and all companies are governed by the Companies Act. So if you look at the income tax side of it, the tax 10 or section 10, then where it clearly defines that if you qualify as a public benefit organization, you must register to be exempted for tax and also for trading. In our instance, in terms of sport clubs, it would be to function as a sport club. Now, that in itself seems like a minefield in itself, seems like a lot of work. But I've gone through, I've gone on the web, and I saw it's only 2 pages to be completed. Only
So
two.
simple.
Only two. And it does not ask your wife, your girlfriend, your scallumpy's name. It asks straightforward stuff that every sport administrator should know at club level. They want to know your club name, who is the chairperson. And when you look at the second form, which is EI2, they ask for more information. And I think that really forms the cornerstone of any organization.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that people think that's a lot of information that they need to be giving, number one. And number two, as your fiduciary responsibility as an executive member, you need to be doing that. And I think we need to just pause there for a bit, because people don't understand the role of executive members. And I think maybe you should touch on some of the aspects of what the roles of any executive of not only of a club, of a federation should be.
Yes, and you're quite correct. That fiduciary responsibility, it's a legal responsibility that you do have. So if you're in the leadership role of an organization, you can, although it says that you're a separate entity, that if it's about to be sued, you cannot in your individual capacity, but you can be sued and be sued. You can sue and be sued. So that is one part of it. The other one is that as a club, you run an organization on behalf of people, which are the shareholders. And what we found is that many of our clubs operate as one-man shows. It's always a man. I never saw a woman running an organization alone.
You never know netball?
Netball, come to think of it, most of them, I've experienced that there's a real committee.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a culture of women to function as a committee. But on the football side, especially on the men's side, you will find there's a one-man show. And the danger of it, we rob our youngsters of a wealth of experience and learning experiences. For example, if you do not have a meeting, because if it's a one-man show, one man does not have meetings. So they rob them of accountability. You need to account to your shareholders, which means that you will have annual meetings. If there's annual meetings, there will be discussions as to how what happened during the year and the rollout for the future years. It's about strategic planning also. So if you do not have that, you rob those people of that.
Absolutely, but you also need to account for the money that you receive.
Yes.
And that's the important part, is because if it's a one-man band, he doesn't feel the responsibility to tell you, who's paid a subscription fee, whether it be 10 Rand for the season, that I have used your money to buy balls. I've used the money to buy kit, which comes back to SARS, you know? And you need to account not only to your members, but you need to account to SARS for money that you've received, whether it's in your personal capacity or as a club.
Yes, and what we found also is that a lot of so-called clubs, when we transfer the funds, you will find that's in the name of a certain individual. So they're not going to account to the shareholders. And the shareholders are not part of the organization. They have been totally marginalized. So when we say that you need to register as a PBO, there'll be a certain sense of accountability, and you must take responsibility for your actions. There are two things that's needed to register. One is your founding document, which means that's the constitution, which is coupled with your minutes of every meeting and the AGM, where you've been given the mandate to act or not to act on certain things. The second one is your financial statements. So that is the basis of any organization. But that can also be the root of all evil.
Absolutely. And yes, it costs a fair amount of money to have audited financials. But think of the long-term benefits of having an audited financials. It gives the club credibility that you are an established and reputable organization, number one. Number two, when you apply for funding, whether it be lotto funding, money from government, or even sponsors, they need to know that the money they're going to give you is going to the right cause for what you're presenting, and you got backup to prove it. Isn't that the crux of the matter?
That opened doors for you. It shows that for anybody who want to invest or to assist you, that this is a sound organization. It's not a one-man show. I think previously I said that in football, we got 32 LFAs or local football associations and only 3 qualified. And that should really be worrying, because those three local football associations had PBO numbers and certificates. The other 29, no. And those are the poorest of the poor, which means that if you do not want to register as a PBO, you will not be robbing or shortchanging yourself, but you'll be robbing your constituency, your community, of getting access to the needed resources.
And you're there as as an executive member, you're there as the voice of your community, and that's essentially what it's about. And if you're not prepared to put your neck out and do the things by the book, your community is going to suffer exactly what you're saying.
You see, some clubs operate really as a closed corporation. Like I said, a closed corporation, we can be just one managing director and that's it. But that really harms our communities. At this moment, we look at the education levels being low, we look at the skill sets being low, and during the dark days of apartheid, we used to have clubs operating where we have on a Thursday evening, we had what we refer to team talks, where we will have match reports. And match reports are so important because you are accounting for your actions, what you did on a Saturday. And also, you're making others aware, you're sharing information with them. Then team gets selected and everybody buy into that this is our team. On Saturday, coming Saturday, our gladiators will take field and we will be there. But in the absence of meetings, we rob our community of those skill sets which are so needed to build them. So we move further and further away from the community. And therefore, certain clubs, when they take the field, it's only the 11 players, no spectators. They must beg the referee to support them.
Because they ostracize themselves from their community based on the fact that they don't want to be involved with the community. And that's a sad reality of where sport is at the moment. And we need to come back to the good old days, as a lot of people call it, where sport was a community-based, or clubs were community-based. So if you live in Athlone, you'd play for a club in Athlone. Yes, there's money involved now, and even more reason why we need to register and be, like you say, like a business, and account for every cent that we get.
You see, that is so important. If you from Athlone, there's a club, and everybody will know Alton is from Athlone and he plays for Jamestown. They will know that's a given. If Alton decide to go and join Junction Rovers in Adafel, that's a crime. The community will ostracize you. But now we get people playing all over the show, all over, and they're not even paying. They're not even paid. You know, there's certain clubs who refer to themselves as academies. They scout some of the youngsters from the poor communities, and those youngsters must pay the coaches to play in those areas. So we're robbing those communities from having the stars playing in those communities. So we're robbing them of heroes also.
Absolutely.
So we need to go back to form and to strengthen those clubs. And we need to start at the start.
Absolutely. Bennet, in closing, how do people find out more about PPOs and the benefits of BPO? Can they just go onto the SARS website?
It is readily available. I'm not so good with technology, but I could find those forms easily. and it is under PBO, like public benefit organization, and there you can download EI 1 and 2, and it's, like I said, it's so easy to complete. You do not have to be a rocket scientist.
Bennett, thank you for bringing this to our attention, and I hope that you as clubs now take the initiative and go forth, get the information. Remember, you apply for lotto funding. It's imperative for you to have a PBO status. It's imperative for you to have audited financials, and it's imperative for have minutes of all your meetings. We'll see you after the break.